All right, so I guess it's true. I'm back. Why is that? Simply because we've got some things to talk about. Why did it take so long? Because I never intended to, number one. And second of all, because of the fact that I have a new baby and she's great, but none of that matters right now. What you need to know is there is a literal crisis taking place in the African nation of Nigeria. And if you didn't know about it, now you will. The long story short of it is that Nigeria has been almost 50-50, like almost half and half, Christian and Muslim for generations. Don't let that deceive you into thinking that they've lived peacefully together. They have not. It's been a very fragile division of the country between them, in which Christians have almost exclusively lived in the worst kind of desolate poverty, and Muslims have consistently oppressed them. But in the wake of 9/11, the Muslim attack on American soil here in the United States, in New York City, the Muslims were galvanized, as well as Muslims all over the world were galvanized to begin to take more radical action against Christians that were living among them. This has resulted in, since the year 2001, roughly 5,000 Christians being murdered, assaulted, displaced, or otherwise violently attacked every year for the past 24 years. Some have estimated that it might be close to 110 to 125,000 Christians that are suffering, especially women and children, especially as we head into the winter months, because just since January of this year, some 7,000 have been killed. Some 19,000 churches have been burned to the ground throughout this process. Some have been rebuilt and then destroyed again. While all this has been happening, the Nigerian government, which is primarily Muslim controlled, has been completely denying that the thing is even happening, while at the same time actually supplying arms and ammunition and vehicles and all sorts of other equipment for these Muslim death squads, these attack squads, to continue the violence against especially vulnerable women and children camps. Now, if you made it this far, you might be wondering, why is this happening? And the simple answer is that Muslims don't need an exorbitant reason to be attacking Christians, because it's in the Quran itself that Muslims must hate non-Muslims. It's right there in the text. You can go and look for it yourself. The word jihad itself, which is an Arabic word, literally means to struggle, and it has often been translated by various people at various times into holy war in terms of military conflict, but actually it involves an entire cultural mindset of battling against, especially Christians and Jews, for their, essentially to punish them for their refusal to convert to Islam. In Nigeria specifically, which, if you're not familiar with the geography of Africa, which I'm guessing if you are an American public school student, you probably aren't. It's essentially, if you think about the shape of Africa, it's a western coastal nation right in kind of the cleft of it. Lagos is one of the more touristed cities in the western coast of Africa. It has a lot of tourism that comes into it, especially from the West and from Europe. And so it creates this illusion that it's a very modern and very progressive nation compared to other places. And the Nigerian government is taking advantage of that inviting foreigners to come to Lagos to visit the high-rise hotels and things and the beachside resorts and stuff that are there, but not letting them actually venture into the interior of the nation and seeing what is actually happening there. And of course, there's plenty of useful idiots that are more than happy to go and visit the city and be wined and dined by the political machines there, and then come back and report what their eyes didn't see because their eyes were closed to begin with. Nevertheless, as the country sits currently, basically it's been divided in half. The southern half is still highly under contention. It's being battled for, essentially. The northern half is almost exclusively Muslim control. And the only people that are non-Muslim that are still living there are forced to pay the jizya, which is an ever-increasing monetary or resource tax Muslims give to non-Muslims in regions that they control. But additionally, if you don't pay, which Christians that have been displaced by the violence and things that are going on there usually don't have the ability to, it's exacted through other means, usually flesh. What I mean by that is it's either through violence, through the sexual exploitation and assault of women and children in the region, or through the capture and sale into slavery of anyone of able body, and sometimes all the three combined, because why choose when you can do it all? This is the situation there. People are might actually respond to this saying there's no evidence of it or whatever. Trump, the president of the United States currently, has actually come out trying to recommend sanctions from the UN on Nigeria because of this, and is reclassifying the nation and the government of Nigeria as a place of significant concern, which sounds kind of weak sauce, but it's actually it's an important escalation of the situation, and has kind of danced around the idea of possibly wanting to send military action into the region in order to reestablish order and to stop the violence. Will any of that happen? I don't know. With the shutdown ongoing, it's not even possible. But if it actually kind of lends to me to thinking that maybe this shutdown is something of demonic in nature, that it's something that the powers of the air are actually using as a weapon to keep the American military and the American government organizations, charitable organizations on the sidelines, now that basically the Nigerian government doesn't have the ability to hide this anymore. And that now that awareness is actually shining a spotlight on it, that this is something that is being used by the enemy as a means of continuing the violence and preventing any sort of intervention. And so if you're at this point in this video, you might be wondering, what can I do about this? And at the moment, if you're an American, there's probably not a whole lot. There's organizations. I would direct you to Mike Winger's online network, right? His YouTube and stuff. He made a video about this just recently. Talks about an organization that's on the ground, that is prepared to receive resources from you if you want to deliver it to them. The main thing, though, in my mind, in my heart, what I'm saying is the main thing you probably really need to do is you need to pray against these things that are forcing a political holding pattern here in the United States, that are preventing a more meaningful intervention. And pray that the stalemate breaks as soon as possible, so that aid and even possibly military intervention can come in and save these people that are suffering so horrendously.